Hey everybody, welcome to Cali Girl Blog Talk. I'm Callie. Thank you for joining me. Happy New Year. And today I will be reviewing Real Housewives of Potomac Season 7, Episode 12, Mic Drop. So we start off this episode with Karen and Ray. They've arrived at the Improv where she's going to hold her event. So they're meeting with Karen's assistant, former assistant, still assistant, Matt, and they're going over the details of her event. The topic or the theme is love. Next, we are at Mia and Gordon's house, and Jacqueline stops by. They're chit-chatting, making little jokes in reference to what happened last episode, where it seems like the rest of the ladies have the assumption that something either is going on or something did happen between Gordon, Mia, and Jacqueline. So Jacqueline is like, yeah, I need me a gentleman in my life. And Mia's like, yeah, apparently, because according to other ladies, honey, they think that my gentleman is your gentleman. Gordon is like, really? And I'm like, yeah, Gordon, you are a part of a storyline. In her confessional, Mia described Jacqueline as a sister wife without benefits. So the three of them go into the living room to sit down, and Jacqueline says to Mia, you want me to get close to you? And Mia says, yeah. So she sits down, Mia sits down, Gordon sits down. And according to how they're seated, Jacqueline is in between the two of them. And here goes Gordon. Oh, this is weird, having Jacqueline between us. Mia's looking like, what? He's looking at Mia talking about, is that okay? And I'm like, this is so stupid already. Now Jacqueline and Gordon are going back and forth about who's going to sit in the middle. Do you want to be in the middle? No, I don't want to be in the middle. Do you want to be in the middle? Idiotic. Anyway, so Mia brings up the podcast party that Giselle and Robin had, and she said, that was weird. And Jacqueline was like, yeah, that's pretty left field. What I thought was weird and left field is your reactions when you were being questioned. I mean, you could have easily shut it down, Jacqueline, when you were being questioned, but you played along and alluded to certain things. And you made a comment to Mia just now, I don't play when it comes to G, but you were playing with those women, and I'm not sure why. Example, when Giselle asked you, have the three of you, meaning you, Gordon, and Mia, had some type of entanglement, instead of just saying flat out no, you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to let you ask Mia about that. That's what I mean. You play in the game, you're alluding, but then when it's the three of you guys at Mia's house, you're like, oh yeah, that was weird, pretty left field. Your answers were weird and left field. Jacqueline starts to explain to G what happened at the party as far as what type of questions were being asked. And then she says, yeah, me and Mia, yeah, we take showers together, but that's because we're comfortable with each other and we look great. So the view is nice, and they're laughing. And yeah, I'm gonna keep going. They're making jokes like, we both like hot water. It's economical. We love the same temperature, blah, blah, blah. It's not a big deal. Get off of our conversations and what we've done. And I'm like, well, you started the conversation, the both of you, when you guys were in the trip in Miami and you took a shower or you were doing whatever it was, to whereas Giselle and the other cast members can see what you were doing. So of course it's going to be a conversation. So no, they're not going to get off of it. They're definitely going to make it a conversation because you made it a conversation. Then Mia brought up the fact that, oh, well, I had too many cocktails when we were in Miami, and I mentioned the car situation, and they flashed back to the episode where Mia said, you know what, if I'm pulling up in a Porsche and my friend is not, then I'm a bad friend. And so then they fast forwarded to the last episode where Giselle asked Jacqueline, did Mia buy your Porsche? And Jacqueline didn't answer directly. She just said, oh, well, I make my own coins. Mia said the car is in her name. Nobody said one way or the other. Yes, she bought it. No, she didn't buy it. So she's explaining to Gordon now. She's like, I am income qualified. That's why the car is in my name. Yeah. Did you help me with the down payment? She's talking to Gordon. Yeah, because I was doing all that I can, and I was spending a lot of money to get out of an unhealthy relationship. They flashed the camera on to Mia. Mia is looking like, girl, whatever. And I'm looking like, Mia, your face is giving it all the way. Jacqueline continued, yeah, you helped put that down payment down on the car because I know that you love me. And then Gordon said, well, she loves you, talking about Mia. Jacqueline was like, oh, you don't love me too? Here go Mia, he loves you. And I'm just like, can we move on to the next scene? Both Mia and Jacqueline dismissed it as the women are jealous and they want a sugar daddy like Gordon, and they want to be down, basically. And we all know that that's not true. All right, so next we see Ashely and her friend Deborah. I am not gonna do what so many of you have done on Twitter with the memes and the images that really had me hollering out loud. I'm just gonna keep calling this woman Deborah, okay? And yeah, so let's get into this scene. So along with Ashely and Deborah, there are some other friends of Ashely's that are there, and Ashely calls them her PYTs, okay, her pretty young things. We've never seen these women before, but apparently these are Ashely's friends who have been the most supportive in the situation that she's dealing with as far as Michael and the divorce. The green-eyed monster Giselle herself walks through the door. So Giselle is getting a little bit of history on their friendship with Ashely. Some have known her as long as 12 years, and they've been watching Michael with the side eye, but they said the decision for her to stay or leave was up to her, but they've been there to support her. Giselle then moves on to Karen's spring party, where all of this supposed Chris was getting at Deborah type of situation took place. So Giselle looks at Deborah and she says, so what happened? So Deborah starts to talk about what happened. And she says she was at the bar waiting to get her drink. They flash back to Karen's party while she's telling the story. She says, so I see Chris and he comes over and I guess she's imitating him, leaning on the bar, putting his elbow on the bar table or what have you. And like he's looking in her direction. They show him he's at the bar and he is all in his phone. So just looking at the optics of it all, it does not appear that he is looking in your direction nor trying to be noticed by you whatsoever. She told Giselle that he was smiling at her and looking at her in her eyes and everything. Child, when they put that footage up and it showed Chris look up from his phone and started looking around, still did not even look in her direction. This is horrible. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to figure out, wait a minute, hold up. Ashely, did you set your friend up? Because I'm almost starting to feel like you even set your friend up to take the fall and look stupid just to add to the storyline that you're trying to have with Candiace. I think you set your friend up to take the fall because she out here looking a fool, a whole fool. And all you're going to do is sit back and say, well, that's what she told me. I don't know. That's what she told me. Ashely, you did this to your friend? You set her up like this? Or did she set herself up? Because she looked like, she looked like she looked, okay? And read into that as much as you want to. She continued with the story, y'all. She said, so he was standing there for so long, I just looked at him and said, hi, I'm Deborah. And he said, oh, okay, hi, I'm Chris. She said, I told him, oh, my husband's name is Chris too. And he was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. That's a very common name. And she added that he said, yeah, all of us Chris's, we're all alike. And she said, I said, oh. Child production played that footage where you can hear the conversations. And she initiated the conversation. She looked at him and started off the conversation with a compliment saying, oh, I like that pink. Hi, I'm Deborah. He said, Chris, nice to meet you. And production continued to let it play. And she said, oh, my husband's name is Chris. And he said, oh, okay. Yeah, well, you know, it's pretty common. And that's it. End of the conversation. So Giselle is looking like, wait a minute. Okay, what? And so then she says to Deborah, so you've never met him before? Deborah continued to say, no, my first time meeting him. And then Eddie, I'm like, Eddie? Oh gosh, girl, you ain't going for the Nigerian queen's husband, are ya? She said, and then yeah, Eddie, Happy Eddie comes over. Giselle said, who is Happy Eddie? Deborah said, Wendy's husband. Giselle said, ooh, child, not Happy Eddie. She's cackling, right? She said, he came over, he was all smiling. Production played back the scene with the title, Happy Eddie laughing. Yeah, he's laughing over there with Chris and Gordon. She said, so I introduced myself to him and he was very flirty. He was like, oh, okay, hey, Deborah, how are you? She said, if I didn't know he was married, I wouldn't have known. I guess she's saying based on his actions because he was, quote, flirty, end quote. In her confessional, Ashely said, Deborah is a friend of mine. I've known her for a year and a half. She said, but all of the PYTs were at the bar. I wasn't there, but all of them were, and they all witnessed what happened. Well, then they all lied because production is out here telling the whole truth. But according to Ashely, my friends are not liars. Ashely said, well, to me, this is not an isolated incident. This is back at the restaurant with the ladies. Ashely said, so I felt like with them having a baby, they may just be going through a lot. So she called herself protecting Candiace, talking about so where Candiace could possibly get into a situation where she'd end up being in a situation like me, end up on the same road where you have a husband that cheats on you after you have a baby. I'm just saying, just be aware, be aware of what's happening while you're trying to conceive. Deborah said, well, did she appreciate when you told her? And Ashely said no. And Giselle said, oh no, because you lying in my face. What is there to appreciate? Here go Deborah. Well, next time I see him, talking about Chris, we'll have a longer conversation. These women really be out here like it's a whole game. Crazy. Giselle said, no, she's not going to let you talk to her husband. Deborah's like, oh, like you delusional. Ashely with a smirk on her face. Do I have to say something to Wendy about this now? Deborah said, well, Eddie was a little bit more subdued than Chris. So look, we're not trying to bring Eddie all the way into this. The main focus, the main storyline this season is Candiace and Chris. So let's just leave. We mentioned Eddie, honorable mention, but we're not going to bring him into this. Ashely desiring to bring Wendy into the situation. She said, well, I feel like it'll be disingenuous, if I know about this and she hears about it. In her confessional, she said, if it was my spouse, I would want to know. Giselle talking about, girl, you got some work to do. These women really stand on, there's a contract. This is our job. There cannot be anything physical that takes place, because in real life, I really don't think that Ashely would do this, because in real life, Ashely probably wouldn't have no teeth, because somebody would be bippity boppity boom all upside her head. I have no doubt. Next, we see Wendy and Eddie with the kids. They're at home, and Wendy is losing her mind because although she loves being at home with her husband and her children, her schedule has been basically shut down because of the kidney stone situation. So she's used to ripping and running, and she don't really know what to do with herself. So apparently Wendy and Ashely sat down for lunch, and Ashely went on ahead and told Wendy. And Wendy is now telling Eddie, she's like, yeah, so I sat down with Ashely and she said something to me about her friend saying something about you. So they flash back to the lunch that Ashely and Wendy had, and Ashely told Wendy, yeah, so Deborah hasn't really seen anybody since the whole Chris situation was brought up. Ashely says, and I'm a little bit apprehensive to tell you this, but here's the big but, right? Apparently when Deborah was talking to Chris, Eddie came over, and the consensus seems to be that Eddie was, being, like flirtatious. Wendy looked at her like, girl, what? Girl, what? And Ashely said, so yeah, they were calling him Happy Eddie. Back at the house, Wendy told Eddie, so I asked Ashely, so what was the issue in question? Eddie said, yeah, what exactly did I do? Wendy said, you want to know what she said? He said, yeah, what? Ashely said, well, I guess he was very smiley. And Wendy said, girl, okay. Wendy told Eddie that, and Eddie was smiling. And when you think about it, Eddie is pretty much always smiling. A slight smile on his face. Like, that's just a regular part of his expression, unless he's talking about something serious. Not taking any of it seriously, he said, oh, whew, well, I guess I can't smile no more. And Wendy started cracking up, because it's like, your friend brought this to you, and you brought this to me? This is what you were apprehensive about telling me? The fact that they will go through such lengths, even taking the smallest thing, which is absolutely nothing, to someone about their spouse, as if it's going to be something big in their home, while you go back, la, 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 job well done. Ashely, you just as dumb as your friend, Deborah. Eddie is tripping. He's like, wow, I can't smile. Like, wow, she accused me of flirting because I smile. And Wendy was like, you smile at everybody. He said, I smile at people on the street. Just like I said, when you think about it, you always see him kind of smiling, like he has a light-hearted type energy, like he just cool. In her confessional, Wendy said, child, ain't nobody concerned about Eddie having a friendly conversation. Because, honey, yes, Eddie is very happy. Look at me. Why wouldn't he be? Next, we see Mia and Giselle, their meeting, along with Robin. So they all agree that they're going to Karen's event, and then Giselle says, so yeah, Robin and I, we met with Karen, and she said, you have a little bit of Jacques Cousteau in you. You like to explore and whatnot. You like to do things with flashlights and explore, for example, explore Jacqueline's vajayjay. And this all happened when you guys were like 20. And they flash back to the lunch where Karen is telling them, and Robin is like, wait, what? What the hell? Mia said, okay, look, this is what happened. She said, Jacqueline said, well, can you just take a look in there and see what's going on? What? Anyway, Robin said, well, what was the problem? Was she itching or something? Mia said, no. Giselle said, were you guys in the dark? Why the flashlight? Mia said, I don't know. It was just being theatrical. So they laugh about that, whatever. And then Giselle moves on and says, so why didn't you tell us about you and Gordon and Peter and his girlfriend when we were in Miami? They flash back to Karen dropping the tea where she said, yeah, Mia told me that she did sleep with Peter's ex-girlfriend. Giselle, Robin, and Ashely are just thrown for a loop. Like, wait a minute. You dropping way too much tea right now. Hold on. Mia is not feeling this line of questioning at all, not with the ladies and certainly not on camera. Her response is, why didn't I bring it up? Because it didn't come up. But the expression on her face and the look in her eyes says it all. She is not enjoying this conversation. She is not enjoying the fact that these ladies met up and she was the center of the tea being dropped. Giselle was like, girl, what you mean it didn't come up? Peter Thomas was the subject of every conversation. Mia said, yes, you're right, but it had nothing to do with his girlfriend. To clarify what happened, Mia said, well, she never slept with Gordon, okay? They just played around with each other. They food, touch, touchy-feely type thing, but she never slept with him. Mia said, but this all happened on our wedding night. Giselle is looking like, what? And I was looking like, whoa. She further clarifies and says, well, not the day of the wedding, but the night before. She sang while I was walking down the aisle. Mia said, she's a sweet girl. The problem is we just don't get along now. Robin is like, okay, you told that to Karen. Why did you share that with her? Mia said, I don't know, but I'm not telling Karen. Should the get else? Said, I'll tell you guys one thing. It wouldn't be nice if I told you guys why she really don't like Charisse. Robin said, do tell. They like, just give us a hint. She said, no, I'm not going to do that. And Robin said, but there is a reason, right? And Mia doesn't say yes or no. She just gives facial expressions. So it is the night of Karen's event that she named La Dames with an S. Giselle asked Karen, so La Dames, are these people? And Karen said, yeah, girl, you didn't know? Y'all don't watch social media? She said, I got La Dames, just like there's the such thing as the Beehive. Okay. Then Karen looked at Robin and said, well, do you have any The Robins? And then said, I don't think so. So the ladies start to arrive. Giselle, Jacqueline, Mia, Ashely, and the Deborah, Ashley's friend. In her confessional, Giselle said, so Ashely has brought the woman who says everybody's husband is trying to get with her to this event as her +1. But I'm not mad at it because Candiace listens to nothing. No, Candiace doesn't listen to BS. Candiace doesn't listen to lies. Speaking of Candiace, they show Candiace. She's at the house with her mom. She's eating. They're getting ready to head out to Karen's event. The thing that everybody seems to have in common about Karen's event is nobody knows exactly what it is. They're just showing up to support. Anyway, so back at the Improv, Karen is backstage, honey. She is making sure the mic check is being done. She said, I do not want to go out on that stage and I'm talking and nobody can hear me. That's not happening. So let's make sure we got these mics together. So back at the table, Giselle's placing orders. They're talking hee 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 ha ha ha. And Candiace and her mother walks in. Baby, double trouble, honey, when it comes to that mouth. I'm assuming at this point, Candiace doesn't know who Deborah is sitting at the other end of the table. So they sit down and Giselle says, so, Charisse was a little sour because she was not invited to this event. I guess she still doesn't get it that Karen does not for the guck with her. So why would you expect to be invited? They said, well, why didn't anybody bring her as a +1? Everybody said they did try to do that. You know, not everybody, but whoever said it did. Charisse said, no, I want a direct invite from Karen. I guess that's why you're still waiting on the invite. They showed the group text where everybody was invited, including Katie. So that means everybody except for Charisse. Her name was not on that list. Ashely said, yeah, we all sat down with Karen the other day and I guess you told her some stuff about your relationship, you know, something in regards to a flashlight and doing some investigating. Jacqueline said, okay, yeah, when I had a yeast infection. Girl, let me tell you something. If that was the case, you asked your friend to check it out and Mia, you did it. Girl, if you don't get your ass out of here and go to the gynecologist, go to the nearest OBGYN ASAP. Child, please. Giselle is looking like, wait a minute. We just asked you yesterday, was there a problem? Was she itching or whatever? And you said no. And Mia said, well, yeah, I said no. I just said, you know, we were bored. She said, but obviously I'm not feeling Karen telling my business like that. You know, I'm upset with Karen that she decided to tell you guys my business. because we were having what she called girlfriend chat. She said, and there are things that Karen has said that I don't run back and tell you guys. Giselle's whole face was like, really? And things like what? What things? Backstage, Karen is ready to get the party started. They show the audience. It is packed, okay? Quite a few people showed up. Matt, her assistant's trying to get 10 more people to go. Karen is like, I'm ready to go now. The place is packed. Let's go. Robin and Gordon, they get there. They didn't come in together, but they arrived about the same time. So Robin sits down and she notices that Deborah is sitting at the other end of the table. So she leans over to Candiace and says, Candiace, do you know that that's Ashely's friend that was spreading the rumors about her and Chris? Candiace's whole face was like, "Be the gitch, what? That's who?" And I'm like, that's her. They played a voiceover where someone says, so is this the friend that Chris was touching on? It wasn't Jacqueline, although they had the camera to Jacqueline's side profile. She was talking, but she didn't say it. I don't know who said it, but anyway, you heard somebody say, so is this the friend that Chris was touching on? Candiace looked at her and said, girl, like what? Like, I'm not. And Robin was like, I'm with you on that. I see what you see. No. In her confessional, Candiace said, I do not acknowledge Sesame Street characters. Candiace is giving her the eyes. I don't even want to say evil eyes. She's giving her eyes like, Billy Gitch, how dare you? For real. So you're the person that my husband was flirting with? Just as everything is getting ready to get started, Karen is about to make her appearance. Eddie and Wendy arrives. So the show opens up with a comedian. Now it makes sense why she was able to host this at the Improv, because the Improv is known historically for comedians. Got it. Karen does her walkthrough. She's walking through the crowd. She looks cute. In her confessional, she was like, I am the Muhammad Ali of live shows. And I said, well, child, I guess, and we'll see. Karen is up on stage. She's thanking everybody. She's getting ready to bring on the next guest. The ladies, her castmates, they are confused. They didn't know that she was going to be the host, but I thought clearly she said that she is hosting. So I don't know why they're confused. Anyway, again, because nobody even knew what to expect, maybe they did not know that she would just be the host. And this is not like a one woman monologue, one woman type show thing. And Karen is the host, okay, the program mover with her multiple costume changes. So it's now Act 4, where the topic is sizzle questions, and they allow people in the audience to ask some of the performers questions, okay? So it's Mia's turn. They had other people ask questions, and now it's Mia's turn. She stands up with the mic. She says, so I have a question, Grand Dame. She said, what do you do when you share something with a friend of yours and she runs her mouth and tells her other friends? They put the camera on the ladies, Giselle, Robin, Candiace, and such, and everybody's looking like, oh. And I'm like, well, all of you are guilty. So let's not point fingers. Karen said, okay, I think Mia is putting me on the chopping block, y'all. In her confessional, Karen said, now, girl, I love you, Mia, but stop it. This ain't your show. Karen did what she does and said, girl, whatever I said about you, it was the truth. Get over it. It's all right. Mia said, well, transparency is key. And Karen said, all right, well, we'll work on that. Can we work on it? Mia wasn't finished. She said, and if I tell you something, don't run and tell these two, talking about Robin and Giselle. Giselle yelled out, cause I'ma tell it. Karen told Mia, well, honey, I will work on it. Okay. I'm not perfect. Thank you, Mia. I love you. In her confessional, Mia said, why do people get upset when they get called out, right? I didn't really see it as Karen getting upset. She probably was, but she kept her cool in front of that show, but you did call her out in front of everybody. In her confessional, Karen said, sit your ass down and go ahead and complete that Build-A-Puss project you working on and leave me the fuck alone in my show. So the show is wrapping up. Everything is coming to a close. And Ashely says, oh, I haven't even introduced Candiace and Deborah. I'm sorry, Candiace, have you met Deborah? Deborah said, we met at the spring party. Candiace said, oh, is this your friend? The friend that you said Chris was grabbing on her? Candiace said, is this the one? Deborah said, he wasn't grabbing on me. I never said that. I said he was flirting heavy. Candiace said, oh, he was flirting heavily. Oh, okay. What was he saying to you? He introduced himself and I told him that my husband's name was also Christopher. And he said, oh, okay. Well, you know, all of us Chris's, we're all similar. He said, you know, a lot of us, we all act alike. And I said, oh, I guess so. And now she's demonstrating his posture and he was leaning on the bar, but his elbow kept getting closer and closer. Candiace said, oh. And then she said, he didn't touch me. Okay, his eyes, but I never said he did. I never said he touched me. Wendy is shaking her head, laughing like, what? Mia looked at Candiace and said, oh, is that the friend? And then she even said, I don't understand any of this. And Candiace said, yeah, that's the one. Candiace said, yeah, it was her plan. And I don't know if she's talking about the girl Deborah or Ashely. Deborah, feeling bold, said, I might be the one, but I'm not the only one. I wasn't the only one. Okay, because I wasn't the only one he was giving googly eyes to at the bar. He was flirting with all your friends. In her confessional, Mia said, when it comes to Candiace and Wendy on a rating scale, I would put them, 8+. Ashley's friend Deborah, I like her, but she's like a 4.5 maybe. Mia said, I mean, she's cute, but she's not like cute. Her show was ending and it did look like everybody had a good time. It looked like everybody was entertained in one way or another. So good for you, Karen. So everybody's standing, it's time to go. And here goes Ashely. Candiace, I know that you have some like weird feeling about my friend. Candiace said, girl, no. Like she puts her hand up like, don't even try it. The scene that you're looking for, it's not happening. I guarantee you. Candiace is like, girl, we're going. And Ashely was like, why are you trying to dismiss my friend? And I'm like, girl, for the guck that Pebble Beach. What is you talking about? I don't owe her no time of any part of my day. Get out of here, girl. Ashely said, can't you just clear the air? I mean, she doesn't have any bad intentions with you. Candiace said, no. In her confessional, Candiace said, why is Ashely insisting that I talk to Sesame Street? Because Ashely is a messy hoe. She said, why on God's green earth would you bring this Sesame Street character to a place where I'm going to be? Girl, go do what they do on Sesame Street and go count some letters or some numbers or something. Deborah walks over to Candiace and says, do you want to chat with me one-on-one? Meanwhile, Candiace's mama is standing next to her looking like she is on go. Like, just say the word. Anyway, Deborah said, Candiace, do you want to chat with me one-on-one? Candiace looked at her with a smile and said, no, ma'am. Walking out, she told some of the ladies, I'm not having a conversation with that Sesame Street character, so tell that black Pebble Beach to stay away from me. And with that, the episode ends. Whatever you was going for, Ashely and your friend Deborah, it didn't make the cut. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell button. And until next time, you all take care. Be blessed. Happy New Year. Peace.